Hello, this is Jareen the Dream, and I'm here on behalf of Relatable with the beautiful and lovely Diane, and I'm going to find out a little bit more about this up-and-coming play called Once Upon a Time in the 90s. So, Diane, Once Upon a Time in the 90s, how did the concept of the play come about?
Oh my god, I can see everyone just
ignore them. Just ignore them. Yeah, we're in a room full of people watching us now, and the lovely Diane, who's used to hiding behind her typewriter, is now forced to come and talk about her wonderful play. So, yeah, there with us. Go for it.
The concept came to me because my father is a writer as well, and he would always write about serious issues, but he had a way of including comedy into it, so that way people don't feel too they don't feel like they're being lectured while they're watching it. So the concept of it came because I kind of looked at the way different groups of black people kind of relate to each other, Caribbeans and Africans and Haitians and African Americans. Yeah. There is a lot of animosity when we actually do come together, because I think we're so tribal minded that we don't actually look at ourselves as one community. Yeah. So I decided to write something that had different groups of black people kind of living in the same house, which is a symbol of our community, and how we sort of each one tries to fight to defend their own people, while not understanding that that was the kind of mentality that got us where we are right now. But it's a musical, so there's jokes and comedy and stuff, so it's not too heavy.
Yeah. So for people that, some of you are not that cultured, but we're trying with you. If you've not been to the theatre before, this isn't going to be too heavy, so you can have a bit of music. Who's wrote the music on behalf of for the play?
The good thing is it's actually well-known songs like Bobby Brown, New Edition, and those kind of songs from the 90s.
See, we're helping you along. So songs that you know, come get culturised. You say, yeah, take your girl to the theatre, you know. Once upon a time in the 90s. So, Diane, how old are you?
20.
Oh my God, 20 years old, and you.
But in fairness, I'm going to be 21 next month, so it's not that bad. Don't feel too bad.
21. So this is your first play. So where have you got all the background and history for the characters that are in the play?
When I was young, my father felt that it was necessary we did travel to quite a lot of European countries like Italy and stuff, but he felt it was necessary for us to go to places like Brazil, go to Jamaica. I've actually been to Haiti before he said it was because I was naughty, and he wanted me to actually see how bad it was. Not how bad it was, that there's anything wrong with Haitian people, but it's the situation in which I grew up in a part of Nigeria where we were the only black family in our neighborhood. Most of the people who had been there, I know that's weird, most of the people who had been there have been there from the colonial years. They didn't allow their servants, as they called them, go in. We weren't even allowed into their house. So I'm
just a bit bemused.
It does.
So you grew up in Nigeria, in a part of Nigeria where there was no black people.
You can go and check it. It's called DAT.
Yeah, I don't know about this.
It's actually called Davis Omen Estate, and it's in GRA, which was when the British came and set up colonies. That was the first place they went and lived. So many of the people that were very racist, very, very racist. I actually found that Europeans here were much nicer than the ones back home, which was weird. But when they came here, they had a way of still getting, it didn't make sense. I felt that they were more comfortable with those. I don't know whether they looked down on us because of that, but if a Caribbean person was to come to them, they would treat you a bit more better than they would have treated us. I had the opportunity of obviously traveling to other countries and kind of learning from different groups of black people what was the struggle. Brazil being perhaps the most important, and South American blacks are the least talked about. No one really seems to regard their struggle as anything. And when I actually went into the favelas, it was serious to see little children as young as 10 having to steal to support an entire family. Wow. I just kind of felt that I needed to do something. Sorry, what was the question? I've just gone off.
You were telling me how you came about getting. So you're on. Bear with us. You're on track. So just telling us how you got all the information for your characters.
So yeah, I mean, all of that traveling, reading, and obviously having the opportunity to meet different groups of people, I actually decided that this was something that if you have that kind of knowledge, especially when you kind of go back to Nigeria, people don't want to hear about that, because in Nigeria, if you're not Yoruba, if you're not this, you're not that, you can't really come into someone else's house and tell them what to do. And I kind of felt that if we kind of look at what's going on right now, what happened in the 90s in Somalia at the time, if other African nations had come together to sort of help them, they wouldn't have needed US intervention. And that's where we always fail as black people, is we allow outsiders to come and take care of our home, when really and truly it's no one else's job but ours.
You hear that? So united we stand, divided we fall. So, looking at the characters and people that are maybe not theatre goers, who are the characters that people could most relate to?
I would say Angela's character, who's played by an actress called Stella Anderson, and that's because she's a typical young girl she likes money, she likes the fancy things. But the problem with that is, how exactly do we come to get these, what do we do to acquire these things? For example, all of us have mobile phones and stuff. We always hear about conflict resources in the Congo, in Africa, about wars. We don't seem to understand that when we see children marching with guns, that's because they don't want these big corporations to come in and take their resources to provide the things we like. All we simply need to do is boycott some of these things. And obviously it's hard because we're living in a society where we're reliant on those kind of things. So she's a character we could all relate to, because as human beings, I don't think that it should just be a black problem to kind of see a small child who can't afford to eat and who's having to fight grown soldiers just so they can live in their own country in peace. I think that that's a character that we can all look at and say, well, I'm guilty of doing that, so what can I do to help? So.
Wow. I'm feeling ashamed. Let me just take off the Gucci. So how have you found it being a young black female getting into script writing?
It's kind of a bit difficult, because even when I started like doing internships and stuff, it was a lot of stuff that I didn't really enjoy. Like, I had the opportunity to work for Channel 4 and Skins and things like that. It was a good show for young people, but I'm not really interested in that kind of thing. I don't smoke, I don't do any of those things, so I couldn't really relate to it. And that was the problem I even had. Even when I was working with other black writers, it was always, oh yeah, bare man up in South London, chicks running around, grime. I don't listen to that kind of music, so I couldn't really relate to that kind of thing. And when you kind of when I started talking about the kind of stuff I wanted to write, it was always, why are you so serious? Allow it, man. Like, come on, let's go to it. Like, I'm not into that. I don't take myself too. I am kind of serious, but I'm not too serious the way they kind of make it out to be. I just kind of decided, instead of working with people who weren't interested in the same thing and having to conform to a stereotype that will always, it's kind of has always been there, of obviously that same cycle of violence, sex, drugs. I kind of felt that when you kind of watch shows like The Fresh Prince, they didn't swear a couple of times. There wasn't, like, even if there was kind of implied nudity, it was never really as obvious as it is now in certain shows. And it was funny, and they would have episodes where they would tackle serious situations, and it was very rare that you would see that cycle of violence. It was a middle-class family, and I kind of felt that that's what we should be gearing towards now, because we have millions of Lil Waynes, we have millions of Gucci Manes and all of that, but where's the Public Enemies, where all of those people
we're black, we're proud
in it, like, we don't have anyone, we don't have respectable black people on television anymore, or writers. Like, it seems like if you want to make money, a guy has to wear a dress to make people laugh, and I don't think that that's very funny.
Okay, so anyone that's watching this now, because I'm inspired, I might pick up the pen. What piece of advice would you give to people that are watching to think, okay, I've got an idea, how would they go about putting their dreams into reality?
I would say the first thing you need to do is kind of believe in yourself. Before I start writing, what I do is I research to make sure, because the worst thing you can ever do as a writer is go and write something and be like, yeah, this is real information, and someone's like, actually, no, it's really embarrassing. I've seen that happen a couple of times when some girl I'm not even going to repeat it, it's just really embarrassing. You have to make sure you know what you're talking about and your passion is in it. Then you have to plan. Obviously, you have to write character descriptions, what age, what's your target audience. You also have to know how you're going to market it towards them, because you can't say you're doing a play for young black people and be like, oh, so I went over to the Queen's house. They're not going to relate to that kind of language. You have to make sure you know your audience properly. And also, you have to, screenwriting is very easy to do. Go and read scripts online, which is what I did. Look at scripts like when I wanted to do something 90s, I had to go look at Juice, all of those scripts back in the day, because that's the kind of thing I really liked. You have to kind of look at how they talk, the dress sense. You have to know, because you have to be very descriptive as well, but not in too much detail. It has to be short and sweet, like, oh, he was wearing a hoodie or something like that. That way you know your character properly. Also imagine the person, or if possible, what I used to do sometimes, so I get friends and tell them, okay, read this, read that, say this.
Yeah.
It needs to sound realistic, not something that's just on a piece of paper. And just learn how to format scripts. It's very easy. Learn how to do that and find a team of people, because that's the most important thing, a team of people or a group of actors who are very interested in what you're doing and believe in you, and work with that, because you can have everything perfect, the finances, but if you have the wrong cast, it will never work. You just have loads of conflict and stuff like that.
So proper preparation and planning prevents piss poor performance, in a nutshell. So we want everyone to come and watch Once Upon a Time in the 90s. I can't wait. When is it? How much is it? Who's going to be there? Like, let's get everybody geared up to come and watch it.
Wicked. It's going to be on Thursday and Friday, the 26th and 27th.
Okay, so 26th and 27th of May, before the bank holiday, so no excuses.
Exactly, and you've gotten paid by that time, so don't lie.
Yeah. How much is it?
£10, which is standard, because I've seen raves that's £25, and then there's coach, so you can't lie.
So you can take your girl out to the, say, not chick, but I'm going to take you out to the theatre. It's going to cost you £12 on the door, £10 in advance to come and watch Once Upon a Time in the 90s. And I hear there's a special guest performance from
AKALA. He's going to be performing on the 27th, and it's going to be a massive performance. Also as well, we're going to have Angie Lamar, Kat, Kojo, and some other people in the audience coming to see it. We're going to have some good networks like Voice newspaper is going to be there, Nubian newspaper magazine is going to be there, and some other prominent publishers and obviously directors are going to be there. Ricky Beadle player, some well-known.
Wow. Okay, so you know what you need to do. 26th and 27th, that's next week. You're going to come and see Once Upon a Time in the 90s. You're going to see AKALA, you're going to see Kojo, you're going to see Angie Lamar. Everybody that's prominent within the black community is going to be here down in, where is it exactly?
The Albany Theatre, which is it's at 8 Douglas Way, and postcode is SE84AG, and that's really on the high street. If you just come, it's literally turn right.
So west southeast. Is it southeast? Southeast London, not far from Lewisham College. Ask everyone where it is. Everyone knows where it is. It's a very prominent place. Get yourself cultured. Get yourself Once Upon a Time in the 90s tickets, and yeah, rep that. We'll see you there.
All right.
Peace.